and we're sweating. Hello, today we are going to Lyon, France. Jenna and Jay grabbed some coffee before getting all situated on board.
So we got our nice train fields. Under here we have power. We have undersea power.
Ooh. What would you rate this train out of 3 trains?
10 out of 10. All trains are good trains.
Yeah, agreed. The trip to Lyon is just about 2.5 hours, and during that time you go almost 240 miles. So it's a pretty high-speed train, and the views are really nice too. A lot of French countryside. Tara would like this. We were welcomed in with a rainbow, which was really fun. That was really the only time on our trip it rained. So right away we checked out our first cathedral of the trip. After exploring a bit more, we got settled into our Airbnb. It was a pretty basic Airbnb, but it had everything we needed, probably even a little more space than where we're currently living in Paris. The best part of the Airbnb, though, was definitely the view over the Rhone River. Before dinner that night, I grabbed a Too Good To Go bag full of pastries. Too Good To Go is a way for restaurants to sell their unsold products at the end of the day for a bit of a discount to reduce food waste. We have a lot of croissants and a lot of pain au chocolat. I think probably the most of anything is the pain au chocolat. So yeah, we got a lot of pastries to eat while we're here in Lyon. After our pre-dinner patisserie, we set out for our actual dinner. We went to Lanana, and I'm not kidding when I tell you it was one of the best meals of my entire life. I had gnocchi, Jake had pizza, and we finished off with a giant profiterole, a giant cream puff with ice cream, and it was all so good. Good morning. We are going to look out over the city of Lyon. And I think we have about 800 steps before we get to the top, so. My heart rate was going, and by the time we got to the top, the view was amazing, but also it was January and we had taken our coats off because it had gotten so hot. Same. It is worth noting that there is a funicular that you can take up here. We did not do that. And we were sweating.
We'll take it down.
Yeah. And this little thing that looks like, well, this big thing that looks like an Eiffel Tower was built in the 1800s and used to be a restaurant, but is now a TV tower. And there's Shaker Scale. We checked out some ancient Roman ruins of a theater. And I lied earlier because instead of taking the funicular down, we walked back down and had lunch. And then we took the funicular up the hill again a bit later. So after lunch, we went up the hill in the funicular again. We saw the Jardin des Curiosités, and that again was another beautiful view of Lyon. We went out to dinner again for a Lyonnaise meal, and it was amazing. We started off with salad. Bon appetit. I had steak and Jake had chicken. And the dessert in Lyon, like the specialty, is this rose-colored almond praline. As a joke, at the end of the night, the elevator was broken, so we had to take more stairs. The next morning, we did a day trip to Annecy. It was about a 2-hour train ride, and it was our first view of the French Alps. It was just beautiful, and I think my favorite part was that Jake had said it was one of the most beautiful places he'd ever been, which was just so fun. So we just took the day in, again, did a lot of walking, soaked up being on a beautiful lake, and also just enjoyed the fact that it was January and the temperatures were so mild. So this is where we came from this morning. Jake, what are your thoughts so far? Yeah. We even tested out to see how cold the water was, and that was pretty cold. The weather, mild, the water, freezing.
Ooh, that is...
But there was actually people swimming. We had some pizza and then tried to walk to just a trailhead, but we didn't even have proper shoes to do that. So this is as far as we got.
Are you okay?
You good?
And the best part was our train wasn't until after 6, so we got to watch the sunset over the lake. The next morning, we started off with more rose praline, and we went to a farmer's market to continue our pastry crawl of Lyon before our train. This is probably the most beautiful farmer's market I've ever been to. There's like 2 blocks full of stalls, like tons of rotisserie chicken, pastries, like every vegetable you could ever want. Ooh, I'm just so happy. And we're trying our 3rd baked good of the day. I won't tell you what time it is because it's embarrassing.
I guess Turkish.
And then we headed back to the station and back to the train. Awesome trip. Highly recommend Lyon. Oh my god, the food. I think I had the best meals of my life in Lyon. Views of the city were awesome. I loved going to the beginning of the French Alps in Annecy, and I love traveling by train. Loved it, loved it, loved it.